Hey guys, welcome to part 3 of building an AI native business using claudecowork. Today, the use case is going to be very interesting, which is marketing. In the last couple of videos, we had learned how to build a skill and trackers from scratch. This time, we are going to start with an existing skill. Now, what I've done here is created a Claude skill called as Marketing OS Setup. This is a generic skill, which means it can actually work for any team that has a marketing function. So you could be selling jewelry, you could be selling electronics, you could be selling courses. You can actually use this skill to get your marketing in order. Now this website is called as GitHub. If you are not a technical person, you would have never used it. If you want to use AI skills, AI plugins, GitHub is the place to be. So I'll kind of give a quick 2-minute tutorial. So this right here is my profile user Sarang, and I have this repository, and here you can see all the files. So the key thing that will work for you is basically this particular folder here, .claude/skills/marketing OS setup. See, .claude, when you actually download this folder might actually be hidden in your computer. I'll teach you how to prompt claudecowork so that it actually looks into that particular folder. So step number 1, just click on building an AI native business using Claude. So we are in this repo and we are going to be downloading all of this. So here you see this button called code. Click here and then you can actually do two things. One, if you're familiar with GitHub, you could directly clone this repo. But if you're a non-technical person, click on download zip. Then move the zip file into your folder. So in this case, company OS work in progress is the working directory. So I click on extract. Now when I open this, you can see that .claude file is actually, the folder is not visible here. Whereas here, if you actually see, that folder is right there. That's primarily because that folder is going to be hidden. Now what we can do is we can just go to claudecowork here and then say that I have a new repo downloaded and I have a new marketing OS skill inside it. Can you find it? Now it's just reading it and you can see it has actually found the skill, which is marketing OS setup. It is an interactive setup agent that interviews you and scaffolds a complete marketing tracking. As simple as that. Now what we're going to do is we'll say yes, run it for me. So one thing that you can actually see on the right hand side is that it is actually interviewing me on the product and company first, followed by interviews on audience, positioning, funnel, voice, visuals, all that stuff. Okay, so whose marketing system are we setting up? My own business or the case study company? If you have been following along this tutorial, I basically said that for the purpose of this tutorial, we are going to assume a made-up company which sells air quality monitors. Now I'm going to basically use the same business here. Now what you can actually do is click on my business and try it out. In fact, let me actually do this. Let me just click on my own business so that you can understand the various categories. So here it is physical product, software, service, mixed multiple lines, or you can provide something else as well. So now let's say physical product. And now it is asking a bunch of questions, which is what is the name of the company, what exactly do you sell, and then what is the price point, where do you sell it, and one sentence you would describe the product to a stranger. So right now what I'm going to do is just type in the same thing. I will say that the name of my company is ABC and I sell an AQI monitor, primarily in India. This is an on-desk product which shows the current time and AQI. Okay, so next pricing. So let us just say that the product is anywhere between 2,000 rupees to 5,000 rupees. Any secondary product lines? Right now I'm just going to say yes, just the one monitor. Is there any seasonality? I'll just say I'm not sure yet. You can see that it has marked the first phase as complete. The second phase is interviewing an audience, brand, and funnel, right? Now at this point, there is two things. One is you can just answer the questions, or if you have some existing data in an Excel sheet or a PowerPoint, you can point the AI towards that. That's perfectly fine as well. I'll basically say urban families and parents. What's the main reason someone buys it? I would just say functional desk update. Again, functional desk upgrade. Again, I'm just making this up. If you're someone who's selling a real product, you most likely know why people are buying it. You just have to type it there. Where do you sell? I will basically say both site and marketplace to kind of get in some complexity in place. All right, so it's automatically telling me some competitors. Obviously, I don't run this business, but It's actually doing that. It's asking me what is your differentiator. I think like most founders, I'll say better product quality, primarily the display and battery life. Yeah, website URL, you can basically say that I don't have a website. Now, obviously in your case, you would have it. There's a very good chance that claudecowork might be unable to fetch your website. In that case, what I would do is download your website, save it as HTML, and point claudecowork towards it. So what the type of brand? Will basically say that clear and no nonsense. Yeah. And emoji policy on your copy. If it were me, I would just say none. If you are an younger audience, you may prefer to have that. Reading level, I'll just say simple everyday reading, that's fine. And these are things that you would typically not think of, especially if you're a startup trying to set something up. And most startup founders or product builders, they may not have the marketing edge and they may not think about these things. Overall aesthetic, I'll just say clean and minimal tech. Primary brand color, here if you have the hex codes or the RGB colors for your brand, you can just put it. I'll just say something like teal. That's perfectly fine. Typography, sure, whatever. Again, feel free to just provide the actual typography, the fonts that you use, so that it can actually create some skills which will automatically do the ads for you. This I think is an important piece. I'll basically say I'm running Meta, Facebook, Meta, Amazon, and Google Ads. This will give me the complexity. And what's your total marketing budget right now? I'll just say it's under 50K. How do you think about a campaign? The reason why I put this here is a lot of startup founders don't really understand the idea of a campaign. They understand the word campaign, but then they really don't understand how a campaign is structured, what is the life cycle of a campaign, so on and so forth. So here, this is asking you a set of questions in terms of how do you think about a campaign, right? So here you could basically look at it as always on, bursts around events, mix of both, haven't structured it. Typically what happens is companies run campaigns and the campaign is run forever. And what you run inside a campaign is what keeps on changing. In addition to that, you may have festive seasons where you would want to kind of sell more, or let us say that there is a news saying that AQI in a specific location is like really, really bad. If you want to make use of that trend, make use of that opportunity, you may want to launch a new campaign, correct? I hope that makes sense. So in this case, we'll keep it simple and select always on. What creative formats do you mainly run? So here, typically you would want to just select static images, video reels, carousels, yeah, and also mostly product photos. So let's just have that as well. And which KPIs do you actually care about? Ideally, you should just select everything, right? And if you're someone who already has a little bit of experience with marketing, and if you want to track something even more specific than this, feel free to just type it there. How frequently do you want to review the numbers? This I think is very, very important. You should ideally say the first option, especially if you want to take marketing seriously. If you want to understand where the money that you spend actually goes, and if you're doing the right thing, it's better to choose the first option. So now I think it's going ahead with the scaffolding. So scaffolding is essentially just creating all the required trackers based on whatever we have actually typed so far. So here you could basically see that it's also reading a whole bunch of additional files that I had created, which just ensures that the final trackers and reports come in a slightly, nice looking way. So one thing is, if you remember in the previous tutorial, we had actually provided the HR master sheet. And here it has automatically recognized that that's the person, that's the performance marketing employee, and Pooja Desai is the content and social media lead. This is very, very important. And that is why you want to ensure that when you're building with claudecowork or even Claude Code, you combine all pieces of information in the same location, because the AI will figure out things which you never thought about, or in our case, we did think about this 2 videos back and I've actually forgotten it. And AI is just recalling that key detail for me. So what has it done? First, it has created 3 trackers under the trackers folder. Let's quickly take a look. Right, so you can basically see that it has a folder for marketing, influencer collabs, marketing campaigns. Marketing campaigns is a major one. So now let's just see what it has done here. So here it won't have actual, okay, looks like it's given you some data, which is very nice. So it's actually having something called as a campaign ID. What's the name of the campaign? Always on conversions, desk upgrade awareness, Amazon sponsored products, pollution season push, right? Based on whatever we said. What is the UTM campaign? What is the objective? And what are the channels in which you are running this? And here, what is the focus SKU? So what is the product that's going to be sold? So that is also modeled here. This level of planning is very, very important at the end of the day. So you have a start date. For this last campaign, we have an end date, but the other campaigns, we are not saying anything. Status is active. What's the total budget? Who is the owner? What's the target metric? And then what's the target value? So ROAS of 3, a click-through rate of 1.5%, a ROAS of 4, okay? And then you have some notes here. So this is the overall, I would say, system design behind campaigns for that specific company, which in this case is ABC. Now, what we can then do is, we can just look at daily marketing ad performance. So here, let's just quickly take a look at the sample data as well. So this, you can basically see, you have a performance ID. This is again an internal ID for us. What's the campaign ID? What's the UTM campaign? UTM for the campaign. What is platform? What is the ad set? What are the spends, impressions, clicks, conversions, and conversion value? This is something that you can easily download from Meta. All you need to do is feed it in here, right? Now, it's very, very important for you to also understand where the creative is going, because right now we don't know where the creatives for this particular campaign is. And that is where this campaign ID comes into play, because you can use that campaign ID and say that, hey, campaign IDs creatives are in this particular folder. So then what AI can do is, in order to understand why a particular campaign performed well, it can go through the creatives, and if there are multiple creatives, it can go through all of them, and it can actually find patterns that you may have never found out before. And that is why it's very important, again, to get the data modeling piece, which in this case, campaign ID, correct. Because if you don't have the campaign ID, your original objectives and your results are not talking to each other, right? So that's why have the campaign ID in your original objectives, which is the first tracker that we looked at, and that has to go through all the other subsequent trackers as well. Okay, so this I think is fairly explained. What else do we have? We also have the influencer collabs. Let's just quickly take a look at it. So this right here is just the collab ID, the campaign ID, UTM campaign, influencer name, handle, platform, deliverable. That's it, right? The key thing again is the campaign ID, because with that you can actually stitch everything. All right, so we'll just close this as well. So now what I'm going to basically do is, I would want to say that, hey, give me a place, give me a setup, so that I can show you the marketing creatives and the copies. What we can say is create a performance marketing agent, which will now organize the creatives for me and help me generate my daily, weekly, and monthly reports based on the existing folder structure that you created. Yeah, that's it. So the first agent set up that initial set of folders for us. The second agent is going to be responsible for ensuring that it uses this existing set of folders, takes into account our creatives, takes into account our true data, and then actually act as an employee to ensure that whatever needs to be done on a daily basis is being done. And you will understand that very, very quickly here. So here I'm going to say that I want Excel sheets, and we'll basically say that this needs to be a Python helper script. And then we're going to say, yes, build plus run a sample. Now what I also want to do is the data set or the sample data set is sparse. Feel free to add more samples to make the sample tracker data more meaningful. So this way, it can actually add more seed data to it so that the tracker looks better and we're able to understand what it does. Now, what you can actually do is, if you already have trackers, you can just put them in a folder, either weekly or monthly, however you typically take, the data dump, and then ask Claude.cowork to just take a look at it. Okay, so now what you can see is it has actually created these trackers. Now, obviously what I can do is go ahead and look at all the columns and understand what it is. What I can actually do is modify the skill to also output an executive summary with key details in a .md file. What this would actually do is go through all the data that it just crunched, look at all the numbers, and then actually write a report that with which you can actually take business decisions. While the skill is being modified, let's take a look at a couple of folders. So if you go into marketing and then you can open reports, you will actually see that it has created 3 folders: daily, monthly, and weekly. And if I just click on daily here, you can see that it has actually created an Excel file and also a .md file, which just explains what everything means, right? Now, the nice thing is, if the raw data is getting updated on a daily basis, which means if your tracker is getting updated on a daily basis, the reports would also get generated on a daily basis. Let's look at the monthly as well. You can see that the month-on-month data is there and weekly data is also there. Now, the reason why I like this structure is that, say 6 months down the line, you also want to understand or ask questions like 2 quarters back, what were the campaigns that performed really, really well? CloudCowork can actually go and look at that. So now let's just see here, head back and then see what it has done. Okay, so let's see. Okay. All right, I'm not able to find the file. Let me just quickly check here if it is somewhere here. Okay, marketing reports. Could this be the file? It could be, I'm not sure yet. Let me just, for instance, let's just look at the monthly report. Yes. So what I want to do here is, let's just click on this. For example, this right here is your daily report. Perfect. So, okay. So the broad number, headline spent, this is how much we spent. This is the revenue, blended ROAS, campaign targets, 2 hit, 1 missed. This is exactly the type of reports that business owners need. So you can actually look at channel wise, what is the spend, what is the mix, what's the revenue, what's the conversion. And then you can also see a campaign scorecard based on whatever metric. Here, I think it's doing it based on ROAS. Similarly, one thing that I want to do is, this is for the month. Let's quickly take a look at week. At a weekly level, what has it done? At a weekly level, spend has increased, week on week 3%, revenue has gone down by 7%. And here you can always say that, hey, I want to understand the last 3 weeks numbers in this report. Can you do that? All you have to do is ask the skill to be modified and it will change the report for you. That's it. Cool. So I want to do one more thing. What I want to do is, based on the analysis, the skill should also provide a daily, not a daily, weekly and monthly task list. Feel free to ideate this with me. So typically in most companies, they have the Excel trackers. It might actually miss some data, but they have some trackers for sure. The summary, the executive summary, is something that there's a lot of error, or usually it never gets generated because that requires structural thinking. They may not have the bandwidth or the right person to do it. But most companies, what they lack is, what actions should I take today, tomorrow, the day after, and for this entire month. That is the most difficult piece. So here you can see that it's actually saying that, okay, this seems like a good idea. This is what you need to do on a daily basis. Where should the task exist? I'm perfectly fine if it is actually in the executive summary, right? Because I can go through it and I can also review the task list with my team. How prescriptive should the tasks be? Right now, let's just say it's just suggestions. We will say that we need all of these. Now you can go crazy, add more as well. And let us see what it does. Okay, so it looks like it's gone through the task. So let's just quickly take a look at it. Okay, so action plan for this week: reallocate budget from desk upgrade awareness to Amazon sponsored products for the next week. And this is exactly the type of insights that you need to have. And like I said before, a lot of companies miss this basic thing. But oftentimes the simple things are very, very hard to do right. So I think you will actually see, or hopefully have seen through this video, that building something like this is extremely easy. So for instance, I can just click here. You can see that I already have my Gmail connector. I could basically say, email this to my team, and it's just going to email it. And you can also have a schedule agent. Sorry, not a schedule agent. You can actually use the schedule option so that this happens on a daily basis. So that way your reports are created on a daily basis. They're saved in the neat folder. Action items are generated. Yesterday's action items or last week's action items is also checked. It's communicated via email or Slack. When your team member responds, the AI can take that into account, because whenever the schedule runs, the AI agent gets access to that information as well. However, we have to actually ask the skill to basically read your Gmail as well and pass that information to the agent. That is something that we'll obviously show in a different video, because I think it has its own challenges. But I hope this video was useful for you. If you have any questions, or if there are any other areas where you want me to dig deep, feel free to let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe and share this with someone who will actually find this interesting. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.